Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Martin, Senior Manager at Global Foundries. Uh, I have been at Global Foundries for 7 years now. Global Foundries is a relatively young company. It was only established 2009, so it is currently a privately owned. We're looking towards going public in the next year and a half or so. With me, I've brought one of the members of my department. Her name is Chichi, and I'll Chichi introduce herself. Chichi.
Um, Hi, I'm Chichi. I have joined Global Foundries for 5 years. I have worked on the Alex team for the test site automation. Um, so our job is to make the layout automation so that we can deliver this layout efficiently. Um, Yeah, it's my first job after my graduation, so it's a great job. So I'm glad I have the opportunity to come to talk and share my experiences and my thoughts. Thank you.
So this evening we're going to cover a couple things. Going to give you kind of a brief overview of Global Foundries, and Chichi's prepared some thoughts that she has with regards to setting up a resume and setting up how you approach a job search. And so let's get started. So we're gonna kind of take a overview of our company. We are a foundry. Foundry means actually foundry has its roots in the notion of steel working mills, and people would request we have this great big huge factory that would build steel beams and those sorts of things, and and foundry kind of builds to a specification that's provided by an external supplier. So we are a specialty foundry in the computer chip business, and that kind of makes us unique in the United States, and have some competitors across the planet, but we are the world's leading specialty foundry. At a glance, currently Global Foundries revenues are on the order of $6 billion a year. We manufacture 2.3 million silicon wafers a year, and that's growing. We have over 250 clients. Members of our team have over 15,000 patent applications. We have something called custom IPs. Essentially, if there are circuits that you want to include in your computer chips design, we can provide standard designs for you to include in your design to create specific functions. We are in every single cell phone that is delivered across the planet. If you have a cell phone, and I would imagine everybody does, uh, every single cell phone has an RF chip in it, and that RF chip is the communications to the outside world. And in fact, it might have multiple chips that we've manufactured, including sensing chips, tactile chips that cause your phone to buzz and beep and kind of do all those kind of strange things that everybody gets used to, and only miss it when it's gone. So those are the specialty sort of items that we produce for our customers. We have about 15,000 employees. We know people coming in may not have a great deal of knowledge or experience about our business, so we invest heavily in developing and training people within our company, and we we are a factory, and one of our goals is to ensure that, and this is actually the first thing that if you hear any of our senior executives talk, the first thing they talk about is safety, and we promote. It's very important to us to have a safe environment. So we have exceeded all the minimal standards, and we've far exceeded all the minimal standards associated with safety benchmark within factories, and that's something that we take great pride in. In 2009, Global Foundries was formed. So the real story is in our industry that as it's grown, the ability to deliver computer chips to people who want computer chips is getting the amount of volume, the scale necessary, and to be quite frank, the complexity and the knowledge associated to build those chips has become ever more difficult for for a lot of individual different companies to have. So Global Foundries has specialized in the notion of manufacturing the chips. We do not design our own chips, and we don't necessarily work with the customers who take the chips finished products and install. So we exist in a place where we're just building the computer chips. We were formed in 2009 when a investment firm by the name of Mudabala formed a partnership with AMD. Now AMD is a company that designs computer chips, and so we process AMD designs. In 2010, that venture acquired a company in Singapore called Charter. In 2012, we have a fabricator in Dresden that achieved upwards of $2 billion of revenue. Let's see, in 2015, this is where Chichi and I became involved. We were former members of IBM, and IBM, the whole chip manufacturing business has gotten so expensive that even IBM, which is a $80–90 billion company, couldn't afford to do it for themselves. So they spun us off, and that was a little traumatic, but we landed on our feet here in Global Foundries, and we're here talking to you this evening. Let's see, a couple other things. We had our 10th anniversary in 2019, and in 2020 we just continued to grow. So what we offer to the entire to the electronics ecosystem is the knowledge and the ability to build chips at scale and at volumes that allow our customers to be competitive. Any questions about that? So we have a mission. We innovate and partner with our clients to deliver technology solutions for humanity, and we manufacture semiconductors, chips around the world. And our vision is to really change the industry that's changing the world. So, and it's important to have a mission and a vision, and I can tell you honestly that that's really what we're doing. And so I'm very excited about that, and I want to share that excitement with you. These are our values: creation, partnering, embracing, delivering. We want to innovate beyond what is possible today. We want to provide a differentiation for our customers that may be solutions that they can't get elsewhere. I can tell you to a person, every person that I work with has a great passion for problem solving. And at the end of the day, all of our job is to create a value. But by the way, whatever job you're in, or you choose a profession, you want to create value for those people that you're working with. We are a multinational company. We collaborate across all borders and boundaries. We look for solutions that enables everybody to win, and really trust is the basis of every relationship. We embrace. We believe that diversity is a competitive advantage. We believe in inclusion, where the best ideas come from inclusivity and inclusive behaviors. We act with a shared sense of purpose, and we believe in respecting everyone. Finally, at the end of the day, we have to deliver. We create an environment where our clients can count on us to deliver on our commitments. We work effectively, efficiently, and decisively to achieve those commitments. We focus on the outcomes, and we hold ourselves accountable for the results that we achieve. Or, in fact, sometimes you don't have a successful result, so you have to hold yourself accountable for that as well. We celebrate and reward success, and nothing matters without safety. And we do all this with unyielding integrity. And I've been in this industry. I've been around for a good long time, 32 years, and sometimes I have a jaundiced eye of things, but I'm here to report to you that I'm comfortable in sharing that these are the facts. This is the reality, and this is what I've found as a Global Foundries employee. One of the things with the current pandemic and some stresses that are going on internationally and globally, one of the advantages that Global Foundries has, is that we have a global scale of operations in stable, low-risk geographies. That's the United States, it's Germany, and Singapore. We are becoming a trusted foundry for the United States Department of Defense. We have ISO 15408 certification to manufacture common criteria secure products, and certification for information security management. What does that all mean? As one can imagine, in a competitive, maybe dangerous world, people want to know that when they create a design and they build it on a piece of silicon, that their design is their design, and nothing else has been added to it or subtracted from it, or backdoors are created in it that send information to who knows where. So one of the things that we offer to the entire industry is absolute certainty that what we manufacture is can be trusted. That's really important. Finally, we have intellectual property protection. Customers send us their designs. We will not share their information with anybody else, and that's critically important, that other companies trust us with their designs. So we are a foundation of trust, and this offers a strong competitive edge for our company. First of all, what do we make? We make silicon wafers, and what has happened is the amount of computational power that you can place in a 1-inch by 0.75-inch piece of silicon is equivalent really to the amount of computational power that in the 1960s would occupy a football field. There are a lot of good things that come with that. First of all, the amount of energy, the amount of electricity required to supply and power a single chip is significantly less than the amount of energy to supply an entire football field size worth of computers. speed, reliability. Speed and reliability are another, a football field worth of computers would take, hours, days to come up with an answer where on a chip you can get answers back in nanoseconds. So we've been able to compress all of this into individual dice that get placed on a silicon wafer. What we ship to our end customers are these single wafers, and they will essentially cut them up into little pieces and package them into their cell phone, their computer, their radar system for their car, all sorts of whatever you're using a chip to power your device with is what this will be packaged into. Let's see, what are we saying here? Oh, by the way, the world is going faster and faster and faster. This is the time to reach 50 million users. It took 38 years for 50 million users to adopt an FM AM radio. It took 13 years to get 50 million users to adopt the television set. It took 4 years to adopt. This is a PCAT, by the way. This is kind of where I started my career, is PCAT time, installing these in places like RPI and IBM and other places. It took 3 years to achieve 50 million users of the let's see, what's that? It's the iTunes. That's right, iTunes. And then finally, 3 months is the time required to get 50 million users for an iPhone. The complexity of this device here versus this device here is just unfathomably large. So number one is it's infinitely more complex, and number two, it's being adopted at an ever faster and faster rate. I think this is probably the same way, a different way of saying the same thing. As we start adding adaptive radar and smart devices, and that looks like an Alexa, and that looks like an iNest, and everything's connected to everywhere. The amount and volume of silicon that's required to power everything just continues to grow. So let's see. This is a view of the entire market. The global GDP is about $85 trillion a year. The electronics size is about $2 trillion. The semiconductor industry is $47 billion, and the foundry industry, and these are our competitors, SMIC, TSMC, UMC, and Samsung. These are competitors. That's about a $63 billion a year business. Our goal is to capture a significant portion of that $63 billion a year. Feature-rich solutions for high-growth market segments. We have divided our business into 3 different areas. One is computered and wired infrastructure. The other one is auto industrial multi-market, and the final one is mobile and wireless infrastructure. And our solutions play in all of these spaces, and we're competing in all of these spaces. Things that you're concerned about when you're in the auto industrial multi-market space is low power. Integrated, 4 volts is not a lot of voltage to power your transistor. You want embedded MRAM. Folks, the next big thing is self-driving automobiles. So if you want to put a radar on that, well, those chips have to come from somewhere. And then there's rugged auto and industrial applications, which is covered by our BiCMOS, CMOS, and DMOS offering, which we call PCB. So these are all things that you'll find our chips in. Smartphones. 85% of the smartphone market today has GFRF inside. We've shipped over 50 billion chips. We continue to grow in the RF segment of the business, and we are integrating 5G millimeter wave into our products, and we're providing turnkey service foundry RF offerings for 5G millimeter wave. Computer wired infrastructure. These are the, let's see, what is good, CPUs and GPUs. So if obviously every computer has a CPU in it, and a GPU in it. We are still major players in this segment. We shipped 2.5 million wafers of that technology. There are ways of packaging an individual chip to access that chip easily and efficiently. We call that 2.5 and 3D. We are deeply involved in artificial intelligence designs and those sorts of things in order to differentiate our technology. And a play that many of the members of my team are currently working on is integrating RF designs into silicon photonics chips. And we will be the first in the industry to achieve that. We have a global footprint. For the folks in Troy, we're in Malta, and East Fishkill, New York, and Burlington, Vermont. So those are our three major factories in the United States. In Dresden, Germany, which is actually in the former East Germany. It's about 30 minutes, 45 minutes away from Berlin. Really beautiful place. We have a fab there, and then we have another major fab in Singapore, which kind of rounds out our company. Here's some more information. The different factories make different products, but one of the interesting things is we're doing things to leverage the knowledge of different factories. So we're moving technologies and processes from one factory to another, not only extending their life, but also making sure that we have the volumes that are being demanded from our customers. It's our Singapore site. This site is just up the Hudson River from RPI. It's in Malta. If you take exit 12, you'll go a little bit east. You'll find it. About 3,000 employees in Malta. Burlington, Vermont is also another beautiful location, and actually all of these places are beautiful locations. But I love Vermont, and what Vermont has brought is deep RF knowledge, and you can see it's been operating since 1957. So it's a pretty established place, but there are plenty of opportunities there. And then there's the East Fishkill site, which is down in Dutchess County, just about 90 miles north of New York City. The one caveat about our East Fishkill site is at this moment we're in the process of transferring the ownership of this site to the company called On Semiconductor Company. So for many reasons, there was a decision to move this facility and the people that work there to another semiconductor company, which has mostly to do with the size and the scale at which this particular factory can operate based upon how much real estate is here. Within our company, we have 1,500 technologies dedicated to research and development. We dedicate 34,000 wafers a year to development. We are differentiating 150 different programs on 25 different technology platforms. And we are actively involved with universities, government partnerships, and other research institutions in collaborative efforts. Design enablement. Now, Chi-Chi and I are part of the design enablement group. We have we publish over, and I'm giving a lot of numbers. Anyways, we do a lot of really deep intellectual work. We supply the intellectual property to in the form of process design kits to our customers, and really, you know, our customers want a function. They want something that works, and we provide them the information that they need to assemble to enable them to work. Across the planet, I guess we have 16,000 employees representing 83 nationalities and 14 different companies. A quarter of our workforce is female. We hired 180 new graduates in 2018 and 2019. Most of them are working in the in STEM type fields, whether it be chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, systems engineering, electrical engineering, any. I think maybe the only thing, maybe I don't know if we have a whole lot of civil engineers, but not to diss the civil engineers, but the point is there is a continuing need for folks who are and enjoy and engineering and solving engineering type problems. 75% of our employees have a university degree, including PhDs, masters, and bachelors, and 80% of our employees are either engineers, technicians, or operators. So that's who we are. We talked a little bit about investing in our employees. 1.6 million hours invested in training our employees. We have a very, very active global women's group with over 1,500 members involved. Very, very strong. And actually, if you look at the picture, they're both men and women in this picture. I don't know if I was there for this picture, but I'm active in the global women's group. Also, Global Foundries gives back to the community. Talked a little bit about typical fields of study. I think that hits pretty close to home to everybody at RPI. So within our business, we have process engineers, we have chemical engineers, we have device engineers, equipment engineers, defect engineers. I guess almost the common thread is engineering. We have quality engineers, we have software engineers, we have financial analysts, and we have IT folks. So these are positions that where we're looking for skilled people. We talked a little bit about global women. The Global Women Group has events, so we have affinity groups. Those affinity groups really help to build a sense of community, help to build a network, help to bond, and so you can be, within these groups you can be hanging out with vice presidents and directors and managers, and what helps folks, of course, is understanding what the jobs are, and what the needs and requirements for those particular jobs are. The way that that's achieved is by, is by sharing those opportunities, actually helping other people along as they go on their journeys. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm here to help share those things that and Chi-Chi's here too. Those things that help me get here. And if there's anything that I can do to help people out, I'm very happy to do that. We have a families group. As you know, by the way, frequently a career in semiconductors can last 40 years. So as you grow through your career, at some point you may choose or not choose to have a family. You may, whatever you want to do is well supported here. And as a company, we work really hard to try to make sure that employees can achieve a balance in their lives. And this is not a place where, hey, you gotta sacrifice your family to succeed, to move forward. So we have events that celebrate the family, from lunch and learns to trick-or-treating events to new and expecting parents, those sorts of things, once again, to build and develop the ecosystem. We have an early career network for those folks who are new and early in the career, and once again, networking, soft skills workshops, those sorts of things. We had a really good summer soccer league in Malta in 2019, but hopefully some of those things pick up again after the COVID. Veterans Resource Group. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, and Global Foundries respects that, and so part of that, and veterans within Global Foundries as they work through any issues or concerns or questions they may have. We've also developed a Black Resource Affinity Group. As Global Foundries believes that it has a diverse, inclusive culture, and as we've gone and looked to try to increase our diversity, improve our diversity, these groups have been established. They're good groups with good people. Recruitment. Hey, one of the reasons I'm here is because I've been asked to help with that. So that's where I'm here. This is where I'm at. Community involvement, networking, retain. So this is our affinity group for that. And you can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can connect with us at Global Foundries on Twitter, and Global Foundries on Facebook. So those are the prepared remarks that I have for you this evening. Are there? Let's see. And I just wanted to give everybody my email address. Let's see. Maybe I can put it in the chat. Let's see if I can find the chat. Let's see. Everybody, you say everyone. Well, that's a great question. How has the work, by the way, how has the work environment adapted to the pandemic? Actually, I'm going to ask Chi-Chi to answer that question.
So after the pandemic, so most of our department, if we can work from home, then we moved back home. So so we have been adapted to that pretty well, because we have a well-established network and the VPN, so it worked pretty good. Pretty good. But I think in our company, there are some other departments in the foundries. They have to go to the company, so they are not able to work from home. Our company provides pretty good protection for them. Our company protect the enough PPE in the very early stage. I remember last year, maybe March, in the beginning, when everywhere in this country is running out of the PPE. Our company have donated some PPEs and provide PPEs to our companies. So our company, I think they place pretty good importance on the safety of our employees. So I'm very happy with our company.
Thanks. That's really good feedback, Chi. Couple things I'm going to say is um, the number of employee. So for example, I showed pictures of our fabricators. Our fabricators are, you know, complex engines that require human, tender, loving care, and as a result, you know, you know, if a breaker breaks, or you know, if there's a chemical spill, or you know, something breaks and something has to be fixed by hand, clearly we have to have people on site to be able to address those issues. Uh, and to be quite to you know, I try to be open and honest as I can be. So one of the challenges we've had as a business is trying to make sure that everybody, you know, first of all, we don't want anybody to get sick, right? I mean, we don't want anybody to you know, it's not a not, both from a COVID standpoint, and both from a general health and safety standpoint. We want, you know, we want people to be healthy. It's pretty straight up. So we don't want our employees working in dangerous situations, and we want to make sure that that the, you know, the spread of the virus has been minimized. So we really came up with what I would call a very layered program where, you know, if you didn't have to go to one of our sites, and you could accomplish your work from a distance, we have folks doing that. In fact, most of my team works from a distance. Most of the members of my team are essentially stationed across the United States and in Europe as well. And so we work together distributedly but collaboratively at the same time. And so so if you ask, you know, have there been employees in my department who have gotten COVID? Yes, they have gotten COVID. However, you know, was it due to anything that they picked up in the office? No, it really wasn't had to do with anything that they picked up in the office. If the business is actually keeping track and statistics of this, and I think the number is 0. I think that's what we were told with regards to the number of COVID transmissions at our sites, you know, from employee to employee. So by minimizing the number of employees that we have on site, by enacting good hygiene policies, you know, when at the sites, if you're in one of the sites and you need to go in, well, you'll get screened for temperature. They're safe distances, and those sorts of precautions are executed. And it was actually kind of a big experiment because we didn't really know how it was going to work when we started it, and people were afraid. But what we found We found a couple things. First of all, we were able to accomplish our work, and in fact, maybe even at times exceed expectations, even though we were working at a distance. And you know how I was showing you the list of all sorts of engineers. Well, in our manufacturing lines, one of the things that engineers like to do is do kind of engineering experimentation work with wafers that are running through the line. Of course, that's a perfectly legitimate thing to do, but sometimes that makes the line less productive when from its primary mission of delivering wafers to the customer. So with fewer lots, with fewer engineering holds, with fewer things going on, actually it enabled our lines to become more. Hopefully that's a good answer. Good answer. That is a good answer. What is the most important quality GF looks for? Potential. That's a great question. I'm going to let Chi-Chi answer again first, if you're okay with that, Chi-Chi.
Sorry, what's the question? Where did you see the question?
I don't know. Maybe it was sent to me privately.
Okay.
So let's see. What is the most important quality GF looks for? Maybe I'll take this one. What is the most important quality GF looks for in a potential employee? One of the things that's really important to me, and something that I stress is the notion of teamwork. This is a very complex business, and no one person has all the right answers. Some people have a lot of good answers, but maybe not all the answers. And so, as we go through our day-to-day business, the ability to work across time zones, the ability to to work together as teams. We are very agile and dynamic in the way different teams work together. I can assure you that we frequently find ourselves working with many different people, and so we want people to quickly understand and adapt what to help that team, to make sure that that team succeeds. So teamwork is number one. Let's see, what are other important qualities that GF looks for in people? Obviously, we want bright, talented, technical people who who are interested in working together in teams. Let's see, what else? Any other thoughts you might have on that, Chi-Chi?
No.
Okay, that's fair.
Um,
Oh, integrity. It's really important. It's really important for me that that people tell the truth, and how they react to problems. And if I mean, people make mistakes. I probably make a half a dozen to a dozen mistakes every day. Well, maybe not that many, but I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and so the ability to say, hey, I was wrong about that, and I think you're right, and being able to say that, being able to kind of live that. First of all, it's challenging. Nobody likes to admit they're wrong, but being able to work, to honestly communicate with one another, to it really cuts down a lot of stuff, right? If you're having open, honest conversations, it's you can get to the heart of the matter much more quickly. All right, let's see. Got more questions. What should students do who are interested in roles at Global Foundries? So clearly, for me, I don't know where you are in your degree program, what's really important is to be able to is to be able to know and understand what we do, and for us to get to know who you are. And I mean, the reason I went to RPI was because they had a co-op program. It was the only reason I went to RPI. I was like, oh, that's a good technical school, but it has this co-op program because Alex coming into college really didn't know exactly uh, what he wanted to do. He was kind of good at science and math, and but you know his father was a veterinarian, and he lived out in central Pennsylvania. He did not know what engineers were. He didn't know what corporate structures looked like, those sorts of things. And so and for Global Foundries, I highly recommend trying to find internship program. I mean, Global Foundries has an internship program, so I would recommend even as a sophomore to find to find those internships that are available within Global Foundries. And you can find that at www.globalfoundries.com. Let's see if I can.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I also want to add that. So if you go to that official website, you will search for the careers, and you can see the positions. You can look at these positions and to see which one fits your interest the best, and then you can apply for that position directly.
let's see. What do chemical engineers do at Global Foundries? What a great question. Um, Chemical engineers, by the way, in a semiconductor wafer, we have, obviously we have silicon, we have silicon dioxide, which is glass, we have polysilicon, we have tungsten, we have low K dielectrics in the back end of the line, we have copper, we have aluminum. How we add and we execute additive and subtractive manufacturing to get these materials onto the wafer. We do that in using things like reactive ion etching and ion implantation and chemical vapor deposition. And there are all these different processes that are heavy users of chemicals and chemical interactions that would that a chemical engineer would be interested, would be congruent with the training received by a chemical engineer. So what we what we like to see is people who can analyze and interpret data to be able to take information from our factories. Are these have all these all this data coming off of them that tells us things that are working, things that are not working, and provides us information as to what needs to be fixed, what needs to be stopped, what needs to be so there's all these meters running on the on the processes that are going on. And so chemical engineers are understand the engineering problems, and they understand the chemical interactions. So well, that's right, we have epitaxial deposition. So we've had so they're chemical engineers have a lot of applications with business. Let's see. Let's see, any questions we've got here so far? Any other questions? Chi-Chi, you had some slides you want to present?
Yes, sure. Yeah, I will share some of my thoughts about the resume and the interview.
Let me stop sharing here.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Stop sharing. Oh, there we go. There's the red stop sharing.
See my screen?
It's coming up.
Okay. Then, are you viewing in the?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, okay. So first I want to talk about the resume preparation. So what to expect in the resume? So for a resume, first, of course, everyone won't miss it. It will have your related skills and experiences. Um, so we all have these informations there. So I will talk about this information later. So I think the most important thing in your resume is you need to present why you fit the specific position well. So that means if you want to apply for the job in Global Foundries, so first you need to go to the website and see what position is opening and which position you are interested in. And for that position, what do they require the skills and what do you have? So you may apply for multiple positions. That is possible. So for the undergraduate student, they have the background knowledge, so they are suitable to do multiple jobs in multiple areas. But for each of the area, you need to modify your resume. So if for that position they are interested in your skills or background, then you give more details about it. But for those that is not that important, you just make it short. So that's very important to provide provide one resume for each position. The other thing is important is what is special for you to fit into this role. So for example, if a job position, they require you have proficient programming skills, then you should put your skills, how you can show your programming skills is good. You do it through project or some research, or you learn some programming languages. So that is important. Yeah, if you don't emphasize these specific things, then everyone's resume looks similar. So that can't make people to distinguish you from other candidates. Yeah, so this is the resume. Next is
Can I add a couple? Can I add a couple comments?
sure. Yeah.
So if you go back to the previous page, Gigi.
Yeah.
The amount of information that is available about a role or about a company is at your fingertips is phenomenal. And so when you have and this is not just for talking to Global Foundries, it's for talking to any particular company in general. When somebody talks to me about a job at Global Foundries, you know, everybody wants a job, right? Everybody wants an engineering job. Everybody wants one, right? And so really the challenge for me is, or the challenge for the person who's seeking the job is, what kind of preparation have you done that you know that allows you to distinguish yourself from a very competitive field of candidates. Clearly, one of the first things that you've done is that you've attended a very amazing technical school that pushes you very hard and encourages you to do your best, both you know and technically and in other manners. So boom, already that's one thing that you've done to distinguish yourself. But among other things, what are other things have you done that kind of sets you apart? So that's number one is how much attention have you paid to actually getting to getting that job? Are you somebody who just wandered to the to the interview booth because we had a nice sign out in front, or have you actually thought about what it is that we might be doing, or what it is any other company might be doing? And so the more preparation you've done, the better that conversation, the better conversation that you can go. And as an interviewer, as somebody who actively reviews resumes and engages people, what I'm looking for when I talk to somebody is, when I walk away smarter from that interview, I go, wow, that person has a lot of thought behind them, and I've learned something. So those are interviews and situations that go very very well. So and to be quite frank, certainly when I was at your stage, I really didn't know what job I wanted to have. I knew I was kind of good at writing code. I liked applying code to concepts, and I, 30 years later, that's what I'm doing every day. So I'm not necessarily locked into that, but I'm here because that's what I enjoy doing. So step number one is knowing what it is that you enjoy doing. If you're doing something that you don't enjoy doing, I would recommend trying to figure out something else that you do enjoy doing, because it never works if you're not having fun at it, and because we have Chichi and I and our team, we have long days. If we're not having fun, it can it's not good. So know what it is, know what it is that you enjoy. Prepare. Find out information about. I've provided some slides and some information. Know who the company's competitors are. Have an understanding of what it is. My favorite interviewing story was, once upon a time, somebody interviewed for a job with FMC, and FMC stands for the food machinery company. And the interviewee walks in and he goes, well, I really think the Ford Motor Company is a really great place to work. Well, how do you think that interview went, right? So do your research. Read articles about that company. Find articles about that company. Network. Hey, I've provided you my email address. Chichi's certainly welcome to provide her email address if she wants to. We can ask questions. One thing that you do have to realize, though, is many times the people that you talk to are very bandwidth limited, and so it's important to realize that they may be juggling a lot of things and may not be able to immediately get back with you. So preparation, knowledge, and the one other point is once upon a time when you made a resume, you write it out on a piece of paper and you had to take it to a printer, and it was really difficult to make multiple different copies of it. Well, with the advent of Word, word processing, you can create a resume tailored to different positions, and so don't feel confined to have just one resume. So anyways, go ahead, Chichi. Good job.
Yeah. So next, interview readiness. So if you will be interviewed by a company, either by phone or in-person interview. So first, you need to equip with the skills. The skills include the technical skills, and you will introduce about your past work or research experience, um, to show that you are capable to do this job. Also, during the interview, you will show your cooperation and communication skills, and also the personality. Um, so one thing I want to mention is, for the interview, it's not only just the company is selecting the candidate. It's also you are choosing your dream position. You are choosing the best job position you want. So you need to think about two things. One is what you can bring to the company. So that includes, I think, those skills I mentioned above. And the other thing is important is what are you looking for from the team, the specific team of the company, um, the work the team is doing, is it what you are really interested you want to do in the next few years, and what's the culture of this company. So I think these are, and if you like that culture, different companies have different cultures. Sometimes it may be hard to distinguish what's the difference, but that's an important thing you need to think about during your interview. So the interview is a two-way selection. Only if both sides are satisfied with each other, then that will be the happy ending. Yeah, Alex, do you want to add anything?
Oh, I'm always happy to talk. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, Chi-Chi, is the notion that you're selecting a place to work as well, and 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 my favorite one is you're sitting in an interview and somebody says, do you have any questions for me? Can I tell you what the wrong answer for that is? The wrong answer is I have no questions, right? Uh, why is that? Well, especially as new students, right, or as new employees entering the workplace, um, you should have a lot. You should have a lot of questions, right? What, you know, what is, what are the working hours? What skills do you think are important? I actually like when they ask me questions about, what are your biggest concerns about, about either for your team or for the business. And by the way, these are pretty, these can be very generic questions or they can be very specific questions. I recommend before you go into any interview, um, and by the way, I wish I had this guidance when I was looking for jobs. Uh, but is to before you go to the interview, just write down a list of questions, right? And actually bring that list of questions. And if you are given the chance to ask questions, you say, I was actually thinking about this. I did some research, and these are the questions. These are the questions that I have. What does that do? That demonstrates that you've prepared for that interview, that it wasn't a second thought on your part, that you've applied some time thinking about thinking about what is going on. So that's a huge thing to bring to an interview. Um, Questions like, are there other people that I can talk to? Can I talk to other people in the team? Um, those sorts of questions. But yeah, having those questions is really important from my mind. It to me it reflects interest, and it's one way to show interest. So.
Yeah, and it's a good way for you to get to know about this team and this company better.
That being said, does anybody have any questions? By the way, I crack a lot of jokes. We are kind of in a serious business. I do crack jokes. It doesn't mean that I'm not serious, but it help. I try to lighten the mood frequently by keeping it light. So Fiona, what questions do you have? I'm not trying to call you out. I'm sorry if I'm bothering you because I'm calling you out. Let me know. Oh, you can't unmute. Okay.
Yeah, I think Fiona has to be quiet because her roommate's doing an exam.
Oh, okay. All right. Emmanuel, what before this evening, did you know anything about Global Foundries?
Yeah, I was pretty familiar with Global Foundries before this evening, but I definitely learned some more from the presentation.
What did you learn?
So I learned, so I didn't know that much about the semiconductor industry and like how much goes on in the industry. So I definitely learned, more about the space in general. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
What's your major?
I'm actually an ECSE, electrical and computer systems engineer, but I'm more focused on like software engineering, and so I know I quite a bit about semiconductors, but not everything, I would say.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, certainly there's a role for ECSE majors within Global Foundries. So it, I would encourage you to give us a consideration.
Oh yes, of course.
So awesome. Thank you, Fiona. All right, I may, let me know, is it, let's see, Chukwumeka?
Hello?
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Cool, we can hear you. Had you heard about Global Foundries before?
I actually hadn't. No.
You had not? Oh, good, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Has, has, have you learned anything this evening?
Yeah, definitely. Um, Initially, I would have thought this was like more of CS, like electrical engineering type of role. Like seeing as I'm a mechanical engineer and actually do like lots of data analysis work, I feel like there's actually like something for me to do here.
Cool, yeah, well, I mean, our factories are full of thousands and thousands of robots that perform mechanical actions. And I mean, another part of mechanical engineering is thermodynamics and heat transfer. So we have a lot of chemical lot of chemical reactions that generate heat, and processes that need to dissipate heat and those sorts of things. So uh, and and I'm gonna share with everybody a secret. So don't tell anybody. But the demand for our products is so great that the global foundries may need to build new fabricating facilities across the planet. And so we're currently in the process of trying to figure out how and when that's going to happen over the next 2-3 years. By the way, it's not a secret. If you read the industry, but yeah, we're building new plants. When you build a new fabrication facility, there's a lot of there's a lot of work to be done associated with making sure that all the that everything's built correctly at scale and in a way that supports our semiconductor processing line. So frequently mechanical engineers work with the tools that process the wafers. They work with the systems that integrate with those tools. So there are plenty of mechanical engineering problems to be solved. So let's see. We have Marvin here. I hope it's okay that I'm calling. Chukwu, did I answer all of your questions? Are there any more questions that you might have?
So far, not really. Your
Okay.
presentation was like really, really, really good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I have to be honest. I'm in front of a group of strange people. We're on this Zoom meeting. I get nervous in front of a group of people, and so hopefully the material stands well, and I did a good job of presenting it. So thank you. Let's see. We got Marvin.
Yeah, wait, give me a sec. I don't really like talking if I don't have my camera on. So
That's
I thought
okay.
I'd turn my camera on. Just so you can put a name to a face. But
Cool.
I enjoyed the presentation. I think I learned a lot. I think I had I guess like a misconception, right? I think the presentation did a really good job where I was like, oh, like, I understand that it's like the semiconductor industry, but when you showed how you like segment the market kind of to like how you guys are trying to like own like that 65 billion like portion of like the chips you guys manufacture. I think it put a real perspective on things, and I know that was like a big takeaway from me, like how yeah, I guess.
So to be completely forthright, Global Foundries had to make a really heart-wrenching choice about 3 years ago. It had to decide. There's something called Moore's law scaling, and Moore's law scaling says that the number of features that you can place on a silicon chip doubles every 18 months or so. And the interesting thing about that is that it's gotten to a point where our most advanced capability is 14 nanometers, and the next generation after that is a generation we call 7 nanometers. We compete in a market at this moment. We're trying to change that. By the way, where our leading competitor TSMC is a company that's about 10 times the size of us. And so we were trying to compete with them at the most competitive node, and it was causing us a great deal of problems. We didn't have the scale to be able to compete in that particular market segment, in the 7, the 5. Actually, I think they're going down to 3. But every time you go down a node, what does that mean? Well, you have to buy bigger and bigger tools, more and more expensive tools. You have to run more and more wafers, and there really wasn't a whole lot of value for the business to continue to compete in that node, in those nodes. So we said, look, we've got to be a responsible company. We've got to turn a profit. We've got to stabilize. We got to make sure that we're focused on the right things, and that occurred about 3 years ago. We call it the pivot. And so if you ask us, are we are we building, for example, the chip the microprocessor chip in your cell phone? The answer is no. TSMC or Samsung is probably building that microprocessor chip. So that's really the space that we're not competing in. So sometimes deciding not to do something is a really good way to make sometimes saying no, right? Frequently you're defined by what you say no to as opposed to what you say yes to. And so we made a very hard decision. We said, no, we're not going to do this, and we're going to compete in those things that we can compete in based upon our scale. We're hoping to continue to build that scale. And there are a lot of things going on. This pandemic brought out the fact that that the amount of semiconductor processing capability within the United States is not at the level that ensures our national security objectives. So there are things that are going on within the federal government that will help us out in the future. It will help us build new factories. It will help us develop new market segments, and so it's very the demand. I mean, we're on a Zoom call right now, right? In the past, hop in the car, drive down to Troy. How's it going? I mean, think about how that's changed, right? So we're all on Zoom calls all the time. You can debate about whether that's a good thing or not, right? But it is kind of the reality of the situation. So the world, the COVID has helped kind of change the world and how we interact with one another. And once again, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least the tangible evidence of that, at least for us, has been a significant increase in demand for our products and our services. So that's a good thing. It's actually for me a once in a lifetime sort of demand bump that we're currently experiencing right now. So it's a good thing to get in on. So thank you for asking the question. Any other questions, Mara? What's your major?
I'm a chemical engineer, actually.
Oh, awesome! All right, and what year are you in?
I'm on my last year looking for a full-time job.
You're looking for full-time jobs. Okay, cool. So the first question I ask is, well, what's your intern experiences?
I have like a wide variety. I worked at Sabic Manufacturing, which is also like not too far.
Okay, I've heard of them. Yes.
Yep. And there I worked as like a process and water engineer.
Okay.
And then this past year I worked mainly in I wanted to work more in like kind of like I guess like more of like an industrial role or like a management role, and that I was working at Johnson & Johnson in kind of like an end-to-end supply chain role. And then just this past summer I was working at Cisco, and I wanted to work more on COVID, so I was working like on a manufacturing strategy plan for the current pandemic, which was pretty cool.
Cool. Sounds like you've had a lot of experiences. So that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. If you haven't selected a job yet, or you're still looking for a job, check us out. Check me out. Send me an email.
I'll check you guys out. I was looking at the roles. And I guess like a question for you, right? You like touched on it a little bit, and you said how like you guys recognize like the niche that you are, and there's a lot of training out there for new hires and current employees and stuff. And I guess I'm curious if it's normal for someone in one specific role to move towards another that might not be in their interest. I mean, I'm saying that as a chemical engineer, I hope for obvious reasons, right? Like, I enjoy what I do. I'm a pretty technical guy, but I also want to venture out like outside of that technical role one day.
So I have there are multiple different models for careers, right? One model is you become the expert of one area. You become the expert on one area. You go very deep. You can go deep, or you can go wide, right? And so within Global Foundries, you have the opportunity to go very deep, and you have the opportunity to go wide, and maybe even between. So maybe little deep and a little wide. But there, I would argue that I personally have kind of gone the wide path. I know a little bit about multiple different areas, and it is not uncommon for people to change jobs. Actually, the interesting thing is I came from IBM, where it was very common for people to change jobs and roles. And within Global Foundries, since it's only been 10 years old, I was talking to a fellow manager. It's like we have to figure out how to rotate employees to different jobs now. We've only been here for 10 years, so it's good. It's good because if you're outside of an organization and you see another organization doing something, you might have ideas as to how they could possibly do it better. As people's careers develop, they begin to, maybe you start off with, test site automated design, and then maybe you want to learn a little bit about device physics and the interaction, and optimizing transistor devices. So you go off and you learn that, and boom, now you have a Venn diagram of the overlapping of the two. And Chi-Chi, for example, she's a test site automated designer. She's learning something that two areas of specialty areas that include something called ESD, electrostatic discharge. Electrical circuits really don't like when you rub your feet across the wool floor in socks and you touch the device and you get a shock. That's really bad for electronics. And so there's a whole subspecialty field in the industry called electrostatic design, and she's learning and beginning to lead a team in that area. And also we have like project management needs. So Chi has learned as developing designs and developing what we're so one of the things I told you. In general, Global Foundries doesn't really design its own chips. We don't design our own chips to sell to other companies. But guess what? We have to design our own chips so that we know what our factories are doing. So and we're kind of you're talking to some of the designers on those chips, and so our designs go. We manufacture those designs, and it tells us how those devices that we're interested in are performing. And where was I going with that, Alex? Chi-Chi works to get together a large group of people in one of our technology nodes and make sure, there's a statement, a watch pot never boils. Well, guess what? If you don't watch the pot, it will never boil. So from a kind of activity standpoint or work standpoint, it's a topic called like project management, where you're responsible for delivering a project, and that there are all sorts of stakeholders. So yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for growth in things that you're interested in. If you're not, some people have no interest in project management. Some people have no interest in people management. Some people have, want to do those things. And so once again, it kind of falls onto you as to what it is that you want to do, right? What is it? What's important for you? What do you enjoy? What do you want to, what do you want to bring? What is it that you want to do on a day in and day out sort of basis? So hopefully that answers that question.
No, that does. Thank you, Alex.
Let's see. Mohammed.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, Mohammed.
Hi.
Do you have any questions? Any comments? Have you heard about Global Foundries before you came to this meeting?
No, I have not actually.
Okay. Oh, if you walk away from this meeting, what do you think you've learned about Global Foundries?
I've learned that you guys have a very diverse applications to your semiconductors, which I find very cool, especially as someone who likes to dabble in a lot of things. I feel like it's the
What do you like to dabble in?
I like to I want to learn a bunch of things, but I don't want to go too wide, as you said earlier. So
Sure.
I'm a computer science minor, as well as a mechanical and aeronautical engineer.
Wow, that's a lot of majors.
Yeah. So just like somewhere along those lines. Like
Okay.
see that you guys cover both those tracks.
What's your or what's are you a sophomore, junior?
Currently a sophomore.
Currently a sophomore. Okay. Yeah, I would you know I know RPI has the Arch program, and they essentially kick you off campus and say, go find something. So I think it's a good thing. So I would encourage you to keep us in mind.
Definitely.
Fiona, thank you very much. I'd ask you questions, but your roommate's taking an exam. I don't want to. I'd ask you more questions. Is there anything more that we can do for anybody?
I don't think so. I think it's just us left. But I would like to say thank you so much for coming. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else who was here did. And I'm gonna take down your email and share it with the rest of our members. So if they have any more questions, I'm assuming that they can direct it towards you, correct?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to reach. So I do my best to try to answer questions as quickly as possible. But I get a lot of questions. So I'll do my best to try to answer your questions. And by the way, as I said, having questions is a good thing. I like people who ask questions. The only dumb question is the question that wasn't asked. So don't ever be afraid. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And wait, were you saying something? Sorry.
Yeah, I want.